concentrating on pneuma, the word for spirit. When Jesus said the wind blows where it will, this is the word he used. It means wind, breath, spirit. And the point is, did the New Testament writers treat God's Spirit as a person? How many in here have taken any foreign language at all? Okay. Well, let me tell you something about foreign languages. English doesn't have this. In many foreign languages, French, Spanish, German, Latin, they have a system of nouns where everything is either masculine or feminine. Or, in the case of Greek and Latin, there's a third category of neuter. Pneuma is a neuter noun. It's neither male nor female. I'll give you some examples of this. Let's take the German word for window is Fenster. If you're going to say the window, you have to use the masculine word der, because Fenster is considered a masculine word. But classroom, classe. You can't say der classe because this is masculine, that's feminine. You have to use a different word for the classe. They also have a neuter noun system, like car, auto. You can't say der Auto, die Auto, can't do either one, because that's neuter. You have to use a neuter word for the. Words have to match whatever gender these words are. Adjectives, if you know what adjectives, anything that describes this has to be masculine because that's masculine. Any word that describes class has to have a feminine form because that's feminine. Everything has to match. And that's what we're dealing with here in the New Testament. We have masculine words like man, we have feminine words like woman, and we have neuter words like pneuma. Everything has to match. In Greek, nouns have gender, masculine, feminine, or neuter. In Greek grammar, every article, the word the is an article. Every article, adjective, or pronoun has to match the gender of the noun that you're talking about. If you have a masculine noun, you have to use a masculine word for thee. Hebrew, thee is thee. The Hebrew word for thee is ha. No matter what word you're talking about. In Greek, you got to know what kind of thee you're talking about. And that's good for us, because studying the words that relate to pneuma lets us know what the apostles were thinking. For example, Ephesians 4:5 says one Lord, one faith, one baptism. In English, the word one is spelled the same way all three times. Not so in Greek. In Greek, Lord is masculine, faith is feminine, baptism is neuter. This is a great verse. You got three nouns, one masculine, one feminine, and one neuter. And look at the Greek words in front of each noun. They don't even look alike. The red one is the masculine word for thee. One, excuse me. One. The green one is the feminine word for one. And the blue one is the neuter word for one. Now you get this concept? The adjectives change form based on the gender of the noun that it's describing. Again, the rule of grammar in the biblical Greek is that all adjectives, such as one, and pronouns, he, she, or it, and articles, they must agree with the noun that they modify, both in gender and in number, singular or plural. There was an exception, and this is the key. An exception to this rule was made whenever a neuter word referred to a person. I'm going to show you, you're going to read the Greek about these exceptions. Greek writers were allowed to change any neuter article, adjective, or pronoun to a masculine or feminine gender if the writer wanted to tell you or indicate that he was talking about a person. In other words, he could use a neuter word and refer to it as he if that neuter word referred to a person. There was an exception, and that makes sense. Dr. Robertson, in his class, let me show you this book here, because this book was key to me finding this answer. This is almost 100 years old, 80, 90, something like that. It's known all around the world among people that go beyond first year Greek. And he was a genius at the development of the Greek language. That's the book I'm talking about. He points out that, quote, personal pronouns were sometimes used freely according to the sense. Adding later that changes in pronouns can be made according to the gender of the person, if you talk about a person, rather than the grammatical gender. And that's at the heart of this study. Every one of those little Greek words means thee. The red ones are masculine, the green are feminine, and the blue are neuter. We don't need the plural these because God doesn't have a one spirit. We just need to know the singular these, and they're at the bottom. Now we're going to get where we start finding or reading how Paul treated things. We don't need the feminine words right now for these, so I mark them out. And we don't need the forms of thee that are identical, masculine and neuter. We just need the words thee that we can tell a difference with. Under the masculine, where I've marked it out, the Greek words I've marked out, they are identical to the neuter that I marked out. So they don't do us any good. We don't know from that whether the writer is saying the spirit is masculine or neuter, because they're the same. We can't tell. So we concentrate on where there is a difference to see what Paul was thinking, to see what John was thinking. If you have a choice between a masculine word and a neuter word, and he chooses the neuter, then we know what he's up to. So let's look at the amen. In the scriptures, when the amen is just an amen, it's a thing. How will, like in 1 Corinthians 14:16, how will the one who occupies the place of the ignorant say amen at your giving of thanks? Look in the yellow. What kind of thee did he use? Neuter. You see it under the blue? He used the neuter word for thee because it's just a thing. But how did John treat the amen? In Revelation 13:14, these things says the amen. What kind of word did he use for thee? Because there's a person talking. Now Jesus is the amen. So you don't use a neuter word. And that's what this man was talking about. Sometimes they went by the sense rather than the grammatical gender and the rule. They didn't follow the rule when they were talking about a person. I'll give you an example of the Lord and the Spirit right beside each other. The word Lord is masculine, the word Spirit is neuter. And look at the two kinds of these. You've got a masculine Lord, but a neuter Spirit. Why didn't he use a masculine thee for Spirit?
That was my question.
Because it's not a person. If it was a person, he had a choice to change. The grammar allowed you to change if you were talking about a person. You're going to see some examples of that. You see, that's one of the two basic things that you have to know to see what the apostles thought about the Spirit. You have to know there's gender for nouns. You have to know that according to the rule, all words describing that noun had to be the same gender. That's just the rule. But if you're talking about a person, you are free to change to a personal word, a personal thee. If Paul thought the Spirit was a person, he could have used the personal thee. But he didn't. I'll tell you some more than that.